The third among the three young entrepreneurs here with us is Saumil Majmudar. I'm sure some of those here who were here last for the last TiEcon 2 would remember Saumil and the experiences he shared. Saumil, a graduate from IIT Bombay, was always passionate about sports, and hence after starting many different entrepreneurial ventures, he claims that he's risen through the phoenix by coming through many different ventures, started his venture EduSports. EduSports believes that healthier and fitter children equipped with key skills can make a difference to the country. With this simple philosophy, he started this venture EduSports. Saumil, his sport loving and he was an excellent sportsman himself. He was in the Maharashtra badminton team and IIT Bombay football team too. I hand over this session to Praveen Bhai to let us know how these three young entrepreneurs have been riding these turbulent times. Thank you.
Good morning. But coffee के बाद बहुत ठंडे हो गए लग. You didn't get any coffee. I didn't. Anyway, the original, I think the title of this talk was, or this conversation was about the qualities CEO should have to ride through turbulent times. I think now we have some thunderstorm or something like that. I think, we keep talking about turbulent times. Last year, Mumbai did its entrepreneurial summit, and they called it Dancing in the Rain. And every day we open a newspaper, it reminds us of the turbulent times that we live in. So in my mind, I think that this turbulent time, I think perhaps, is now become normal times. Unlike perhaps earlier turbulent times which lasted for a little while, 2 years, and the economic cycles revived, I believe this turbulent times are going to be longer. Just to be clear that this is turbulent times as created by the environment. There are no tips for turbulent times created by the entrepreneur himself. Because we are assuming that the CEO knows how to run a business. Like, for example, I think the very good example about creating your own turbulence is perhaps Dr. Vijay Mallya. And you can't sympathize with him because he has, I happen to believe that he has created his own turbulence, and obviously the environment added additional turbulence to his unhappiness. And there are, and if you look at or interpret some of the qualities he has and so on and so forth, and this is not about Dr. Mallya as much as I think there are many others, that there are some qualities that perhaps he is lacking in order to navigate through turbulent times. So what I'm going to do today, just to share one thought that, there are no permanently good CEOs. It just happens that, more than half the companies that were industry leaders no longer existed in 1990, but more than 2/3 of the 1990 industry leaders no longer existed in 2004. So this is a very, very dynamic area where you have to be continuously on your toes to manage different challenges in the environment. So, what I'm going to try to do today, that I must disclose that these three gentlemen are funded by seed fund. And the only people I could find to come here at a short notice were these guys. That is the power of a venture capitalist. They make you dance. But my purpose in, we hear theory, we look at American experiences and so on and so forth, but there is a specific Indian context that I think is perhaps closer to our environment. I think some of the questions that people were asking Ashok in the morning as to how do you do this, how do I change this country, or how do I change the environmental, and these answers are very difficult to find because there are just too many moving items in this country. I think the only way perhaps that may happen over time, that we figure out how to change our political structure. If that happens, hopefully more honest people enter politics, enter bureaucracy, and we all learn not to be dishonest. Then only it will work, because I think it has become an ethos. While we sit on our in our chairs and complain about corruption elsewhere, many of us also, I mean, I'm sure everybody here is honest, but outside follow some dishonest practices or others. And, there are people who make their business model, business plan based on how they're going to influence some decision makers and make $2 out of it. So anyway, so coming back to, looking at some research and some of my thoughts, I came up with some qualities that that I believe CEOs should have, and I'm going to throw these up for discussion with because some of these may sound very esoteric but are difficult to implement, so on and so. I will let these guys tell you whether they agree, and if so, how do they do this in the actual context, or it's lots of high sounding words, but it cannot be done. So let me start, and whosoever thinks he has an answer can raise their hand, and if more than two have an answer, I am happy to hear their. So one of the key qualities I believe that a CEO must have to navigate through turbulent times or through thunderstorm is to create a vision and share it amongst its team. That the company must have a shared vision. That is the belief system of the CEO and the team that makes it all work must have a common vision, and which will bring the passion theoretically to help him navigate through difficult times. So may I start with whoever? So is this something that you believe is valuable, and if so, how do you go about doing this? And this is specifically, you may have tried this in your companies. I know Saumil was telling me that in the difficult times, the team has come together more than perhaps before to make things happen, and they are finding new ways to do things. So Saumil, you want to start?
The broad vision called we want to get kids to play, and then in that vision, in hindsight, this is not by strategy, this is really by serendipity, that we said that's what we want to do, and in hindsight, that very broad canvas gave us a lot of room to keep trying different models. So you could do a ground, you could do infra, you could do a bunch of stuff. In the specific context that Praveen Bhai is referring to, we went through some turbulence in terms of financing and stuff like that. And what we found was, and we also had some turbulence when we started working with schools, where we frankly didn't know how to work with schools. We just wanted kids to play, but we had no clue what it takes to work with a school environment and the issues around it. And that created a lot of issues internally. Two things, I think what worked was, we kept saying, yes, we have a problem with the principal, yes, we have a problem with the parent, yes, we have a problem with the PT master, but we are here to get the child to play. So the moment we were able to refocus the team on the real end goal, and then these became, pains that they are willing to go through. Because the end goal, the end vision, if you will, to use Praveen Bhai's words, was big enough for the team. And even now, when we had some turbulence, I think what happened was because the team believed in this large vision of making an impact and building a business, of course, the problems, it actually became a binding force where it's almost like we are being attacked from outside. And so we as a team need to be a lot more cohesive. And it kind of helped significantly from our side. So I think I agree definitely that the vision is a key goal. And I think maybe having a vision which is not too narrow, which gives room for yourself or for the team to kind of maneuver, given that you will have a bunch of things being thrown at you, is a key parameter in my view.